investigation into why Oak Park Avenue is littered with empty buildings led us to architect Gabriel Garcia from Ideal Designs. Garcia recounted how difficult it was to work with the Village of Tinley Park.
No, and there's more too.
All right, tell me, what else do we have here? Because you haven't even got to these.
Oh, this wasn't so much Amy Connolly. This is pretty much the Tinley, the Village of Tinley Park. Like the residents, you know, they want to do renovations, modifications of their homes and so forth. Mm-hmm. So they come in with their existing home, and then we design, you know, the second floor addition or expansion. Well, it never seems to get through with the village. Reason being, there's what we call infrastructure, like sewer or water. Mm-hmm. And this homeowner is in the middle of the block or something, and they want to, you know, get their addition. While the village tells them, well, you need new sewer and water, period. So now they have to pay for that infrastructure to come in all the way from the corner. So now they tell the homeowner, you got to pay $60,000 for their sewer and water to come in underground because you're developing. You know,
is that necessary? Don't they already have sewer and water?
Well, it is. Well, they're saying that what you're tapping into is rotted out or deteriorating.
Well, isn't that their problem?
Yeah, that's their problem. But they want the homeowner to pay for that.
Oh
okay?
My goodness.
And then the homeowner's like, what, $60,000 just before I even do my addition?
Right.
And then they're telling them bring the whole house up to code.
So Tinley has crumbling infrastructure that they are not taking care of. They're waiting until people want to do something to their homes
and let them
pay for it.
Right.
But at the same time, most people in Tinley are paying $9,000 to $12,000 in property taxes a year.
And that is their problem. When it's underground, it's their problem because that belongs to the city. And then what they're telling the homeowner is you can get recapturing fees. Like if this neighbor over here decides to do an addition, you got to go to your neighbor's house and say, "Oh, you owe me $20,000 because I paid for it." What they call recapturing.
Hitting neighbor against neighbor. Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah, that's real neighborly. And then if you tie into it, you owe me, like you own this line, and if you want to tap into it, you got to pay me. That's what Tinley's telling them. You guys can work it among yourselves, but it's Tinley's responsibility to bring that infrastructure in.
That's terrible.
And I've had so many turndowns on that. Homes like this.
How nice that would be.
And now
and then do people just move instead?
Yeah, they put it up for sale.
This house.
This one they prettied it up a little bit, but they were going to do this.
Wow.
3 homeowners walked away from it because of the same thing, the infrastructure and what Tinley makes you do to renovate your home. And you know, Atherton, they have homes all over.
I'm very familiar with Atherton.
Yeah, so what they did was like, okay, everybody wanted the Atherton type look.
Sure.
But then when they go to do it, it's like, whoa, you got to put $60,000-$70,000 before you even touch your home. So they walk. You remember his big, tall garages?
Yeah.
His office is in a garage.
Yeah.
Okay, everybody wants it, but no one's allowed to do it. We can only go 15 feet. And they're like, how come you got away with it? Right. They were all like that. All them garages were super tall, and everybody wanted that. But Tony said, no, there's a limitation of 15 feet. Well, 15 feet can't do anything. It's just a garage with very low roof pitches. Wow. And they said, we don't allow that anymore. And it's like, okay. So they change the code. You just go by what they tell you. You know, it's a village. And so what I started doing, a lot of homeowners would come in. So I started telling them, you know what, you better go talk to Tinley before you spend all this money on drawings, and you're going to find out that your house isn't going to be, you know, you can't rehab it. And we're doing quite a few homes. Then they find out, you know, what they have to pay for the infrastructure. It's like, we're not paying for every neighbor's water, sewer, and all that, and then they would walk. their own for sale and move out of town.
Sure.
And I've been a resident in Tinley for 12 years. Had my business there, and it's like, you know, I can work with Frankfurt. They call me, they work with me. Orland, you can see, I'm working right now in the fire station.
That's beautiful.
In Calumet City, they're always, you know, they always invite architects because they bring in developers.
Sure.
They bring in.
Because you have relationships with developers.
Right. And
so you're the kind of guy a village needs on their side.
Correct.
You're the kind of guy that Amy Connolly ought to be calling up to say, hey, Gabe, what can we do for you today?
Let's work together.
Let's work together.
And let's get these guys in, especially when my business is in Tinley and I live in Tinley. Hey,
Not to
Amy, let's
mention
work
that-
couldnher. And
Couldn't you, okay, so another one of the problems with Buckeye is that they have a real checkered past, okay, and a lot of problems. Wouldn't someone like you be able to say to a village, hey, I've worked with Mac Industries, they're on the up and up, they do good work, and be a source for them?
Definitely.
So you would know who had trouble.
Right.
And who
And
was
who
doing
is
things like not
trouble and
paying
who's
subcontractors.
not. Right. Who we want to work with, you know, let's
Isn't the
work
village?
together.
You're going to love this. David Niemeyer is on video. We caught him saying that he wasn't allowed to Google to find out if these contractors were up to no good. He wasn't allowed to use Google. He doesn't allow.
But this name has been out there from the get-go. So who's responsible for that?
Investigations are not something that we is allowed under our code. We don't have that authority.
You wouldn't Google Anthony Blum? You wouldn't do
Have you ever heard of a village
No.
that doesn't investigate contractors working in the village?
No, not at all. That's the first thing they should do. Now, another thing is when developers are coming into Tinley, they want to find a local architectural firm and go to them because they figure, well, they work with the village. That would be our first contact. Is let's call a Tinley architect because more than likely they work together. You know, that's standard. You know, you work with your local
Sure.
municipality. They would call me, and then all I could say is, you know, no, that's not going to work. No, I don't have a relationship with them. No, you know, everything was so negative, and they're like, man, no one has an in or know how they work or what they're looking for. I said, not even their existing businesses have been there since 1973. You do a little landscaping, oh, it's got to be done to code. And then if you do any renovation over 100,000, then you got to meet all type of codes. In which that's a Tinley thing. It's not in the national building codes. It's not in any other codes. It's always Tinley.
Really?
But the one that's really hurting Tinley also is the fire marshal. Wants everything sprinkled.
What does this mean?
Sprinkled. He wants every building sprinkled.
Oh, to have sprinklers.
Yes. Now, I'm all for sprinklers, but not a small business office. You know, it's made out of block and stone or steel, and no one's sleeping in it. It's not
Is
a
Orland
daycare.
like that?
No. These are national codes say you don't need sprinklers.
What does the
All the other
national...
municipalities say you don't need sprinklers unless you hit a certain limitation of a building, certain
What are those
occupancy.
limitations?
You know, it varies. Like, let's say a restaurant. If it's smaller than 50 people, you don't need it.
Okay. That's according to the national codes.
Correct. If it's over 50 occupants in the restaurant, then you would need a sprinkler
You
system.
need a sprinkler system.
If the building is a certain size, then you would need a sprinkler system.
But Tinley wants just even a small little boutique.
2 people, sprinkled. If it's commercial, it gets sprinkled. Every business in downtown
Does that add a lot of cost?
varies, $60,000-$70.
Whoa.
And I'm talking on Oak Park Avenue, the little houses and,
Yeah.
you know, everything is sprinkled. And one thing that was ridiculous, the boathouse was built in 1856. Okay, this was when Lincoln was in office. And when the developer took over and renovated the building, fire marshal says, we want sprinklers. and we want ramps to get to it, ADA. You do not have to comply in a historical building. It's a historical building. That building's national historical, and it's also state historical. It's
Aren't there restrictions
correct.
for
You
putting
don't
things
touch
like
that building.
you can't touch that?
It is as it is. Until he made them sprinkle the building and made them.
Well, they could have sued.
Yeah, well, they strong arm you. That's what you get. You take it or you leave it. So the vote house sat there for years, and then the developer went in there, Swiss Properties. They went in there and put the sprinkler system in, which was about $80,000. So they bit the bullet and
Did
put
they
it
put
in.
the ramp in too?
And the building looks horrible because now it ate up all their parking. The ramp goes like this, back and forth. It's not for. It's a historical building, national and state. That's hard to get both qualifications.
Wow.
So you don't touch a building like that. They touched it.
So when
Yeah.
you moved your business from Tinley to Frankfurt, because you this is where you are now in Frankfurt.
Yes, Frankfurt.
But you used to have your business in Tinley. Did you? What made your decision to leave Tinley?
The vote house. Well, it's kind of ran down, and I wasn't getting much from Tinley, residential nor commercial. And I've been working a lot with Frankfurt, New Lenox, Orland, all the municipalities in the area. That's where most of my business comes from, and clients contact me because they figure, well, you're familiar with the local codes, and you know everyone at the building department, and they always want to go to a local architect. So being out there, it was embarrassing answering the phone. No, I don't know. No, I don't have an in. There's no in. And it's not even an in. It's like you already know what they're going to accept, what they won't accept, what their plans are, what they want to develop there. You already know, so you would tell your client, no, don't approach it
This is not the
this
place
way.
for you.
Oh, over there, yeah, in Tinley.
Yeah.
But over here, I would tell them, they're kind of looking more for car dealers there, not a Walgreens, not this. You already have an in on all that.
So you already know what the Village of Frankfurt wants, and that you
Right.
can help them get that.
Get both. They want this, and they're trying to accomplish
Sure.
I'm Megan Fox, reporting from Tinley Park. And if you don't know where that is, Google it.